Grandma.
I am.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We are about to begin our Team Evaluation Flexibility Option Survey webinar. Want to remind you that we will be recording this webinar and posting it on the team website for your use. If you could please make sure that your phones are muted as we proceed through. If you have questions along the way, you can type those into the chat feature and we'll be monitoring that. And also we will answer questions at the end of the presentation. So I will just move through the slides and then we'll have time to respond to the questions that you ask throughout. So just to start off, reminding you that as a state, as educators, we're committed to expanding student access to effective teachers and leaders by implementing a comprehensive student outcomes-based statewide educator evaluation system. And this is a system where every teacher and administrator is evaluated every year and provided with constructive feedback for improvement. All students deserve a high-quality teacher in the classroom and a leader in the school, and all educators deserve appropriate feedback to assist them in making this goal a reality. The first step in making this a reality for the 2019-20 school year is for LEAs to complete the Team Evaluation Flexibility Survey options. The purpose of today is for districts to reflect on the current implementation of TEAM, to communicate evaluation plans for the 2019-20 school year, to ensure strong lines of communication with the department, and to request team coach support. You should have received a link to the survey this morning. If you have not, please contact Team Questions at team.questions@tn.gov. The survey process really does provide you an opportunity to reflect on some of the things that you've done in the previous year. And we also want to make sure that your options moving forward and the selections that you make best support the plans that you have for your district moving forward. Also, having these strong lines of communication with the department is a real support for us to be able to help you in making your selections and providing you support throughout the year. So welcome. Participation in this webinar will prepare you to complete this important survey, which will allow the department to operationalize the various components of the Tennessee Educator Acceleration Model, or TEAM, Teacher and Leader Evaluation System, in TN Compass, based on your district's vision. This webinar will last approximately 2 hours, perhaps less, and will be included again on the team website, and we will post it in next week's team update. So the outcome of this webinar is that you will be well equipped to make evaluation flexibility choices through the surveys that are aligned with your district plans. To to best utilize the information in this webinar, it's advised that you follow along with the observation guidance document that was included in my email this morning and that has been included in Team Update for the last couple of weeks. This guidance document, as well as the webinar, includes a section on navigating the guidance document, completing the survey, a review of resources, a section on current contact information, important T-Encompass configuration information, a support request section, and a brand new process for obtaining authorization from the Director of Schools. So a new and streamlined MOU process along with important reminders. So in the guidance document, there are a couple of cues to help you effectively navigate the survey. Any of the questions that will be on the survey that have an asterisk next to them represents a required response. Also on the guidance document in red text, we've provided additional question details just to give you a little bit of background about the question that you're answering. And the blue text indicates that this will be a question on the survey. You will be able to save and resume completing the survey as you need. If you save and resume and click that button on the survey, you will get a link that you will be able to use to re-access the survey at the point of completion where you've left off. This is a handy feature that you can utilize if you want to have more conversations with folks in your district around the choices that you're making regarding flexibility. And again, the 4 sections of the survey are contact information, T-Encompass configuration, a support section, and a new section for the Director of Schools to sign, which will create an automatic MOU. We also have included a resources page in this webinar. This is a handy place that you can use throughout the year for not only more information about flexibility options, but also supports that you might want to utilize in the year. Most of these can be found on the team website as well, but some of the things that you would really want to keep in mind, especially when you are completing this survey, is the Teacher and Principal Evaluation Policy 5.201, Student Growth Portfolio Model, resources, and of course, your team coaches. So let's talk a little bit about the contact information section. If you recall the visual cues that I mentioned a moment ago, you'll see this in action here in this first question of the guidance document. This asterisk lets you know that the server completer information is required. The server completion information is in blue text, and the helpful red text says that providing this information will allow the survey completer to save an unfinished survey and return at a later time. To ensure strong lines of communication with the department, having current contact information is essential. Through the survey, we collect the district's information, the district's name, core region, the director's information. We collect the district team evaluator configurator information. As you can see in the helpful red text under team evaluation configurator information, there are the roles and responsibilities for ensuring evaluation data quality. So that will help you to perhaps drill down to the person who is most capable in your district of serving in that role. The next section is T-Encompass configuration. This section drives how we create the T-Encompass evaluation space for you. T-Encompass will roll over to the 2019-20 school year between July 15th and July 31st. So it's during that period that we will deliver the information that you've entered in your survey to T-Encompass. So therefore, what we'll do in that period of time, you will not have access to T-Encompass during that period of time. But the director of schools and the team configurator that's listed in the survey, in the contact information that you just completed, will regain access to T-Encompass by close of business August 1st. At that point, you will be able to roster your district staff so that permissions are updated for the new school year. But again, that's why this contact information is so important, so we can provide you returned access to T-Encompass. So the first flexibility that I want to just share with you, and one of the most important flexibilities, is the 4-5 Trump rule. The 4-5 Trump rule is based on state statute and state board policy 5.201. Opting into the 4-5 Trump rule means that a classroom level individual TVOS score or portfolio score of a 4 or 5 would trump a lower level of overall effectiveness. So I want to give you an example of what that would mean. So let's have a scenario where the average observation score is a 2.75, the achievement measure score is a 3, and a TVOS score is a 4. The scale score for that would be 322.5. Without the 4-5 Trump rule, so if you do not opt into the 4-5 Trump rule, the LOE of 3 that would be generated from these metrics would stand. However, if you opt into the 4-5 Trump rule, because the TVOS score is a 4, classroom level TVOS score is a 4, this teacher's LOE would bump to a 4. Across the state, this selection is pretty equally distributed. So when making this decision, keep in mind your overall priorities. But your LEA will be configured in T-Encompass in alignment with the choice that you made here. So this will happen automatically once you submit the survey. So a little bit about student growth portfolio models. This is another option that impacts the configuration of T-Encompass. The models provide educators in certain non-tested grades and subjects with access to a valid and reliable measure of student growth. Where state statute is concerned, Public Chapter 552 was passed, which requires every district to utilize at least one approved student growth model. Also, current state statute, the VPK Quality Act requires any district that receives VPK dollars to implement a pre-K portfolio as part of teacher evaluation. It's worth noting that portfolio implementation as part of the VPK Quality Act does meet the requirement of PC 552. Now, as you may be aware, the legislature passed a bill that we are anticipating the governor will sign that will allow a district to submit an alternate measure of student growth. We'll provide more information as we operationalize that process if it is indeed signed into law. But at this point, districts should complete the flexibility survey based on current statute. The first decision around portfolio implementation is the selection of a district portfolio lead. As you're making that decision, please keep in mind the roles and responsibilities to make the best choice. This person's role is to monitor and support timely completion of portfolios for all teachers, maintain accurate rosters in the platform, distribute all portfolio-related information and resources to teachers, participate in and encourage teachers to participate in trainings offered by the department, recruit the appropriate number of peer reviewers, and communicate with the department as needed. For more information on those roles, reference the Teen Portfolio Guidebook for Administrators. And also, the district is asked to provide information on a portfolio technology lead. The responsibilities of this person is to ensure that all educators have access to the online platform and to provide local level technology support. The models that are available for selection in the survey are pre-K and K, and again, those are required in districts with BPK programs, first grade, second grade, fine art, PE K5, and PE K6. So selecting these models in your survey is important. I just saw a question come through, but I will get to that question as we resume. If you are interested in piloting a model for the 1920 school year, you can also indicate that desire through the flexibility survey. So another option for inclusion in the evaluation process is the School Engagement and Climate Survey. Many districts find it helpful to have this information because students do spend so much time interacting with teachers and their instruction, and using a developmentally appropriate and carefully designed survey has been shown to correlate with and even predict student achievement gains. The surveys that are currently approved for use are the Tennessee School Climate Survey. That is hosted by the department, and I have the contact information here if you're interested in learning more about that survey. Other survey instruments that are approved in state board policy are Tripod, My Student Survey, and Panorama. These surveys can be utilized for feedback only, or they may be used for up to 5% of the qualitative component of the evaluation process, meaning coming out of the teacher observation category. If that is something that you're interested in doing, indicating on the survey the degree or the percentage that you would want this to count is an option. One thing that all LEAs are required to do is to indicate the state board approved observation model that will be used for teacher and leader observation. The model supported by the state with training, certification, and other supports is TEAM. Other currently approved models include the Teacher Instructional Growth for Effectiveness and Results, or the TIGER model, Project Coach, and the Teacher Effectiveness Model, or TIM. We do anticipate these models will be approved in the 1920 school year. If TEAM is selected, a series of questions about customizations will be provided. If another model is selected, TIGER, Coach, or TIM, we will follow up with you to ensure that you have access to all of that model-related information. Just a note that alternate model administrators must submit the appropriate documentation to the department by June 1 for continued approval. And I've already reached out to these model approvers, so that process is underway. So for districts that do select TEAM as their observation model, there are a couple of different ways that you might consider customizing the model for your own local context. Required co-observations for all of a subset of teachers is an option. Requiring additional observations for all or a subset of teachers is an option. or requiring a certain sequencing might be an option. Submitting this information is beneficial to districts in the event that the department receives questions from educators. There have been times when having that information documented with the state has been helpful for districts when teachers were concerned about the process and looking to perhaps grieve the process. So having that information on file is helpful for you. One of the other flexibilities that is relatively new is observation pacing. This is the second year that this option is available. As per state board policy, the number of observations required for teachers is based on license type and either the LOE or the individual growth score. Team districts may select the LOE to guide the number of observations for all teachers, or select the individual growth score to guide the number of observations for teachers who have individual growth scores, that is TVOS or portfolio, even if their LOE was higher. Please note that when you're making this selection, that individual growth score based pacing only applies to tested and portfolio teachers. All other teachers would be based on LOE. This is an important decision to make and communicate with folks in your LEA, because having the correct number of observations is required in order for the LOE to be calculated. So the TN Compass will set the pacing based on this selection. All other models, all models other than teams, submit an average observation score to the department. This does not apply to other observation models. The observation model for administrators also must be selected through this survey. Currently, there are two models that are approved, TEAM and the Project Coach model. TEAM is the model that is supported by the state with training, certification, and other support. We do anticipate Project Coach to be approved for 1920, and any district opting into this model, we will put you in touch with that administrator. Another decision point to make where administrator evaluation is concerned is the scoring process for the administrators. 2 observations are required for every administrator in the TEAM model. Districts can select to enter, however, 1 summative score for each indicator by opting into administrator flexibility. So based on multiple observations throughout the year, the district would enter 1 summative score for each indicator. That is what happens when you select yes for administrator evaluation flexibility. If you select no for this flexibility, then you will continue to enter 2 scores for each indicator. The fall score constitutes 1/3 of the average observation score, and the spring score constitutes 2/3 of the average observation score. Another option that you have, and really new this year, is the access to the instructional supervisor rubric. Everyone will have the ability to utilize the instructional supervisor rubric. However, we're asking for this information so that we can understand how this tool is being used and to provide support if needed. Some things to note is that the instructional supervisor rubric really does encapsulate the work of an instructional supervisor and can serve as a great resource to have conversations about that role. And it also builds upon the teacher and administrator observation rubrics. This is a tool that will not lead to an LOE. The use of this data is completely local. Not all indicators must be scored, but you can obtain a domain score from this rubric if you utilize the entire domain and score the entire domain. Just a reminder also to mute your phone if you are participating in this webinar.
And I'll need your help getting on later. I just have to do it after this webinar.
Again, we're asking you to please mute your phone. Thank you. So again, the instructional supervisor rubric is something that can be used locally for feedback purposes, for local scoring, but again, it does not generate an LOE, as no growth or achievement scores are selected in TN Compass. The next piece of information that we would like to collect through the survey is the data system that will be used to collect teacher observation data and administrator observation data. If you are using TN Compass to do that and you are a team district, then that is great. If you are submitting through a third-party vendor or a local software system, please make sure that you provide us that information through the survey. This will make sure that we have all of the data to get an LOE for these education. The third section of the survey is the support section. The first piece of information that we ask for is the Tassel configurator's contact information so that we can provide that configurator with the supports they need to run the Tassel process. And then one of our most valued resources is our team coach support. We are definitely looking to learn about the team coach support from previous school years. So this question will ask if a team coach provided support through leading learning opportunities, resources, consultation, consulting. So please, if you've had team coach support in the past, we would love to hear about that support and the areas in which they effectively supported your district. This school year, team coaches can support districts in the following areas: team implementation, student growth portfolio model implementation, teacher observation and feedback, and administrator observation and feedback. So if you would like information or would like to request support, you can do that through the survey. Finally, we are getting to our last section, the Director of Schools signature. I want to go through these bullets carefully with you because this is new information. First of all, one survey should be completed per district. You can save and resume, so please be mindful that you are only submitting one survey. The Director of Schools must electronically sign the last page of the survey. This signature will generate the MOU, and we are asking that the Director of Schools participate in this electronic signature. By signing, the Director of Schools is agreeing to all of the selected options within the survey and acknowledging that TN Compass will be configured based on the selections in the survey. The survey is complete only when the submit button is clicked. So once the survey is completed, there will be an electronic signature. Once that electronic signature is entered, there will be an opportunity for you to review the survey and your responses in its entirety and then submit. Once the survey is submitted, these selections are final and may not be changed for the 2019 school year. Therefore, we encourage you to have conversations before you make these selections, carefully review the survey selections prior to submitting. And the deadline for submitting is June 17th at 5 p.m. Central Time. Again, the final page of the survey will generate a signed MOU for you, and you will get that signed MOU via confirmation email in the form of a PDF. It's recommended that you download that MOU and retain it for your records. And again, a reminder that if you're making new decisions, change decisions, or if your decisions are staying the same, making sure that the folks that are implementing TEAM are aware of the choices made and understand what that means for them in terms of implementation. A few last reminders. T-Encompass configuration includes securing evaluation data during the transition. So as I mentioned earlier, this transition is going to happen between July 15th and 31st. All of the district level access in T-Encompass will be suspended at 5 p.m. on July 15th. We will provide access to the Director of Schools and the team configurator listed in the survey, and you'll have that access no later than August 1st of 2019. At that point, making sure that district staff are rostered and that permissions are set accordingly in T-Encompass for the upcoming school year. You will have all of your 2018-19 district level staff rostered, but you will need to make sure that any custom permissions are reassigned. Only role-specific permissions will carry forward through the transition, so any custom permissions must be reassigned. And again, this survey is the basis for configuring T-Encompass, so we will not be able to configure any district in T-Encompass until we get the survey information. And again, that deadline is June 17th. So you should have, again, already gotten a link to the survey. It was mailed to directors of schools and current evaluation configurators this morning. If you have not gotten that survey, please reach out to team.questions@tn.gov. And we recommend, again, that you review the guidance document thoroughly with a regional team coach in preparation for survey completion. I know many of the coaches have already reached out and established dates to review this with you. So that concludes the presentation. I am going to access the questions that came in through the webinar and provide you some responses to those. So just a second. Okay, so the two questions that I see are related to portfolio. The first is, if a district accepts VPK funds, do they have to use portfolio as a growth, or will they be able to choose another measure? Teachers in pre-K and kindergarten are required to use portfolios as their growth measure, and that is the only growth measure available to pre-K and K teachers. If the governor signs the new legislation, will we be able to change our portfolio choice? Again, that is going to be something that State Board will have to make rulings on, and we will have to operationalize. So at this point, those questions have not been completely answered. We will just have to give you more information as we get that. Again, I think the guidance is to complete the survey as the current statute stands, and if there are other options that are available for this school year, we will certainly provide you more information where those options are concerned. Is there a portfolio option for foreign language? Currently, there is not an option for foreign language for general LEA use. So the answer to that is essentially no, not for foreign language at this point. Well, if you have any additional questions, feel free to reach out to team.questions or to myself, and we will get those taken care of. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we look forward to working with you through this process.